Okay, I'm back. And the last time I did the chord videos, I showed the C chord, the G chord, the F chord, and the D major chord, which was a little bit more complicated because you have to raise your hands up. So before I show a couple other chords today, I want to just go back and review that. So just to review, as far as the C chord goes, it starts with middle C, and you find middle C by counting up from the first note of the keyboard, which is an A, and count up 24 white keys, and you'll land on middle C. And you make the C chord with your first finger, your third finger, and your fifth finger. So you're skipping the second and you're skipping the fourth finger. So I'll just play it. That's a C, that's a E, and that's a G. And when you play them all together, that's a C major chord. The F chord is an F, and so if I count up from C, D, E, F, there's an F, an A, and a C. And again, it's all white notes, and you skip the second note of the second finger and the fourth finger. That's the F chord. The G chord is just one up, which here's the G, here's a B, and here's a D. And again, you play those. G, B, D, that's the G chord. So before you even go to the D major chord, and I should have said this in the last video, it's a good idea to practice going from the C chord to the F to the G, and then back again, and then mixing it all up. So try to C to G to C, G, F, C. And the more you play it, the more you'll hear versions of songs that you already know in your head, because these are some of the most commonly used chords. The other chord that I showed you in the last video was the D major chord, and that starts on D, and D comes right after middle C. So here's the D, and it has an F sharp and an A, and that's D major, and that played all together is another very nice chord to add to the mix. And what I also mentioned is that a way of adding a little bit of color to the chords is by playing an octave or the same bass notes of the chord. So when I say bass note, I mean the first note of your chord. So in a C chord, it would be the C, but play it with the left hand, with your thumb and your fifth finger to make an octave. So just before I go on to the very next chord, I'll talk a little bit more about making an octave. When you make an octave, you do have to stretch your hand out a little bit. So if you're starting with your thumb on the C, you need to reach all the way down to the next C. And so how you make that octave is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you play them at the same time, first an eighth note there, and you stretch a little bit and you'll get used to that. That makes an octave. You play the octave with a C chord, and you're already got a lot to work with as far as writing music, playing well-known songs. So you can break it up. So if you play C, D, F, G, C, you're off to a good start. So that's a review of what we've talked about so far. And what I'd like to do is show you one other chord in this video, and then I'll end it there for now. But the other chord that I want to show you is the A major chord. That also has a sharp in it, as well with the middle finger. And how you make the A major chord is you start on an A. And an A falls, there are several A's on the keyboard, so you can really technically put the chord wherever you want. I would show it to you here. It's the A just below middle C. So when you count down, here's C, here's B, and here's A. And to make the A major chord, you use an A, and you find the C, and then you go a little to the right to the black key, and that's a C sharp, and then an E. And that's the A major chord. And play played all together, it's also quite a nice sounding chord. So that's more or less the chord, and it is quite easy to form. If you want to play it a little higher, you go count up to this octave. So for example, here's middle C, D, E, F, G, A. You can play it up here, and that is the same chord, just a little higher. So here's the A major chord here, and here's the A major chord down here. And just like with all the other chords that I mentioned, you can use an octave in the left hand to complement it. So if you have the A major, and then you count down 8, and you, with your thumb, you hit the A, and then with your 5th finger, the other A, that's the A major chord. So I'll just review all the chords that I've talked about so far: the C chord, the D chord, the F chord, the G chord, the A chord, and I will leave it there.